Your plants might be turning yellow, growing slowly, or even dying for reasons you can't figure out. But the truth is, most of the time the problem isn't pests, it isn't watering, and it definitely isn't because you're bad with plants. In 2025, the #1 reason plants fail is simple: the soil. And today, I'm going to teach you how to build perfect soil at home, even if you're a complete beginner. Soil is the foundation of every healthy plant. It controls how much air the roots get, how water moves through the pot, how nutrients are stored, and even how fast a plant can grow. Good soil is alive, full of structure and beneficial microbes. Bad soil is heavy, compacted, and suffocates roots. And unfortunately, most cheap store-bought mixes collapse after a few weeks, turning into wet mud that blocks oxygen and causes rot, fungus, and nutrient deficiencies. But you don't have to struggle with any of that, because once you understand how soil works, you'll never have to guess again. Let's start with the perfect indoor potting mix, a universal recipe that works for almost all houseplants, herbs, and vegetables grown in pots. The formula is simple. Use 40% cocoa coir or peat moss for moisture retention and structure. Add 30% compost to provide nutrients and beneficial biology. Mix in 20% perlite to create air pockets and prevent compaction. And finish with 10% worm castings or fine bark to boost microbial activity and improve root development. This blend stays light, breathable, and nutrient-rich for weeks. It prevents overwatering, supports fast growth, and gives your plants everything they need to thrive. Before potting, lightly moisten the mix and avoid packing it down. Let it remain fluffy so roots can breathe. Outdoor soil, on the other hand, is a completely different world. Some gardens are full of heavy clay that turns sticky when wet and cracks when dry. Others are sandy and drain water instantly. Many yards have soil that's been neglected for decades, but no matter what type you have, the fix is straightforward. If your soil is heavy clay, you'll notice that water sits on top, roots struggle to penetrate, and plants grow very slowly. To fix this, mix in plenty of compost, shredded bark, coarse sand, or leaf mold into the top 20 to 30 centimeters. This breaks up the heavy structure and adds much-needed airflow. If your soil is too sandy, water disappears instantly and nutrients wash away before plants can absorb them. The solution is to add high-quality compost, cocoa coir, biochar, and worm castings. These ingredients increase water retention, improve fertility, and help the soil hold nutrients longer. If you're using raised beds, the best formula is a simple 70-30 ratio, 70% compost and 30% organic material like shredded wood chips, leaf mold, or straw. This creates a fluffy, rich growing environment that vegetables absolutely love. Now let's talk about the hidden signs of bad soil. If your plants show any of these symptoms, the problem is almost always the soil. Yellow leaves, especially on new growth, often mean nutrient lockout caused by compacted or poorly structured soil. Water that pools on the surface means the soil has collapsed and roots aren't getting oxygen. Mold growing on top of the soil indicates poor airflow and excess moisture. If your plants appear asleep and don't grow for weeks, the soil is suffocating the roots. And if roots spin in circles when you take the plant out of the pot, the soil is too dense and the plant has nowhere to expand. The good news is that any soil can be fixed. Start by adding organic matter like compost, worm castings, or leaf mold to feed the biology. Improve aeration by mixing in perlite, bark, pumice, or rice hulls. Mulch the top of your soil to protect it from drying out and to encourage microbial activity. Check your pH. Most vegetables prefer a slightly acidic to neutral range between 6 and 7, while most indoor plants thrive between 5.5 and 6.5. And whenever possible, introduce beneficial microbes using compost tea, worm castings, or mycorrhizal fungi. These organisms help plants absorb nutrients more efficiently and dramatically improve soil health. Before we finish, let me give you 3 custom soil mixes for specific plants that many people grow. For tomatoes, use a high-performance mix made of 40% compost, 30% garden soil, 20% cocoa coir, and 10% perlite. Add a handful of crushed eggshells for extra calcium to prevent blossom end rot. For leafy greens like lettuce, spinach, and kale, use a fast-growth mix consisting of 50% compost, 30% cocoa coir, and 20% perlite. This blend stays soft, rich, and perfect for rapid harvests. For indoor tropical plants like monsteras, philodendrons, and pothos, use a highly aerated mix. 30% cocoa coir, 30% bark, 20% perlite, and 20% compost. This creates excellent drainage and prevents root rot while giving plants steady nutrition. Here's one more thing that most gardeners never learn. Even after years of growing, soil doesn't stay the same. It changes over time, and understanding how it evolves can completely transform the way your plants grow. Every time you water your soil, small particles move downward. Organic matter breaks down, microbes multiply, and the structure slowly shifts. If you don't refresh your soil regularly, even the best mix eventually becomes compact, heavy, and depleted. This is why experienced growers recharge their soil every 4 to 6 months. The process is simple. Loosen the top few centimeters, remove any salt buildup, and mix in a handful of compost or worm castings. This instantly restores airflow and nutrients, and it wakes up the biology inside the soil. Plants respond within days. Leaves become greener, new roots form, and growth speeds up noticeably. Another powerful technique is soil rotation. Different plants use different nutrients, so growing the same thing in the same soil over and over can lead to imbalance. For example, tomatoes are heavy feeders and quickly deplete nitrogen and potassium, while leafy greens use far less. By rotating crops, or even switching indoor plants to new containers once a year. And of course, there's the invisible world of microbes. Healthy soil contains more living organisms than any forest or ocean. Bacteria, fungi, nematodes, and microarthropods all work together in a system called the soil food web. When this web is healthy, plants grow stronger, resist pests better, and absorb nutrients far more efficiently. When it collapses, plants suffer. The easiest way to keep this ecosystem alive is by adding a steady supply of organic matter, avoiding chemical fertilizers, and keeping the soil consistently moist but not soggy. Once you start treating soil as a living system instead of just dirt in a pot, everything changes. Your plants become easier to grow, your garden becomes more productive, and you begin to understand why healthy soil is the secret behind every thriving plant. If you follow these recipes and understand how soil works, your plants will grow healthier, stronger, and faster than ever. No more guessing. No more dying leaves. No more disappointing harvests. Healthy soil creates healthy plants, and once you learn this, everything else becomes easy. If you'd like me to create a custom soil recipe for a specific plant, leave a comment and I'll help you personally. And if you found this guide useful, make sure to subscribe for more practical gardening videos every single week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.